right here.
Welcome everybody to the show. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Donnie, for the opportunity to share some amazing talent in Baltimore. So I guess we'll jump right into it, man. Mr. Jeff Reed, a friend of mine I grew up with in Parkville. I don't know if you're still teaching over at Towson, but you want to introduce yourself?
Absolutely, yeah. My name's Jeff Reed, born and raised in Baltimore, and of course, Dave and I grew up together and spent a lot of time hanging over the years. And so, thank you so much for the invite on the show, man. I totally
Yes,
appreciate
sir.
it. Yeah, I'm a musician here in Baltimore. I've been a musician, professional musician, for about 25 years. A little longer if you count the time I didn't get paid for what I was doing. And so, yeah, it's been a great 25 years of performing in Baltimore and DC and everywhere else, New York, Richmond, and all over the world, really. Uh, and Yeah, lately I have been working a day job lately since things have been kind of tough for musicians. Uh, but um, but I'm getting back into it, and the work is reappearing, and so yeah, a lot of the things I can talk about with that, but that's in a nutshell who I am.
Very good. That's kind of why we're here tonight, man. LA. Met LA at GLA Soundstage. Miss Kim Sally, aka K Sal, who produces her stuff. They had a great little Monday night jazz spot where musicians like yourself would actually find some rest and relaxation and listen to some good talent.
Yeah,
Till
absolutely.
COVID hit. Yeah, man, it was amazing. So, LA, if you can introduce yourself and what anything you got going
Hey,
on.
how you doing? My name is LA. I'm from Baltimore, DMV area. Been doing music since I was a kid, videos since I was a young adult. Working with some TV shows here, and as he said, I was working with KSL over GLA, where we did a Monday Night Live uh, music. It was live, it wasn't jazz. Whichever band came in, could be any kind of band. And also we did the Thursday night karaoke, and we did the KSL show, which comes on Channel 2 here in Baltimore, Saturday nights at midnight. We also did the All Things Baltimore TV show with Pastor Lee Michaels here in Baltimore. So that's some of the things I'm doing. But what I'm doing right now is Black Child Studios. That's my production company. We got a documentary going on about the music from Baltimore in the late '60s, early '70s. The bands and musicians that went on to become, play with some really powerful people in the industry. So that's what the documentary is about.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
yeah, and if you got a link to the trailer, you can share that in the chat. Man, this trailer got me so hype. I can't wait for your project to come out. I'm just really
So
excited because
I can play the link in here.
yeah, if you go to the chat, you can put the link in the chat, and we'll share that.
Let me see if I can find the link. Go ahead. Let me
Yeah,
see if I
go
can
ahead, go
find
ahead,
the
go ahead.
link.
I was really excited, man, because although I'm not a professional artist, it's funny. Mr. Reed over here tried to get me to play a chapel band a little bit in high school, and he actually taught me how to play guitar. I'm not too bad at finger picking. I kind of play acoustic guitar like a bass guitarist, though, because of him. But it's great, man, and I still hang on to that talent. And even though I'm like I said, not a professional musician, I am an artist, and so I definitely wanted to have you guys on tonight and kind of speak from your perspective. We've had some other guest community leaders and advocates and stuff like that, but recently, one of the local artists, he plays down Fells Point a lot still. He's been playing for like 40 years. We were just having a conversation out on the street over in Greektown. And he was talking about how even before COVID, Baltimore is a tough town to be a musician.
Definitely.
And that's something I think that I wasn't aware of. I used to go to when we were teenagers, me and my wife would go to every live concert we get our hands on. It didn't matter if it was country, reggae, whatever it was, we were there. And not understanding the struggle you guys have trying to be successful in Baltimore. My friend Mr. Ralph was telling me, you might get paid 50, 150, and this is like even these days, maybe $150 to play a gig at, in Baltimore for a night. He said, but you go out of town and you'd make twice that plus per diem. And so a lot of our talent sometimes is not appreciated here, but when you travel. So I don't know if you guys want to talk about that or talk about how the COVID really affected what's been going on. Because I know the club, I missed the heck out of the GLA soundstage. That's my spot. And I haven't, by the time I had time to kind of come around and run around and chase Jeff around and catch him performing, COVID hit and things were shut down. So it was like grievously disappointing. So, but what's it been like being a musician in Baltimore?
Well, if I'll go first if you don't mind. Yeah, I mean, I think that there's two answers to that question. I mean, first off, yeah, it's really difficult to be a musician in Baltimore, from one perspective, and from another perspective, it's maybe the best place on the planet to do so. It's difficult, Baltimore has, um, it's hard to get people to come out and support live music in Baltimore. For some reason, ever since I started, there's a whole lot of people will answer the question by, hey, I'm playing tonight. People say, oh, I'll come out and see it tonight. And then the percentage of people that come out that say that they're going to come out it's so low,
I think I've done it a couple times to you. So
Well, look, you're not the only one, and you didn't do that. Don't no, I didn't mean that in any way like towards you.
not at all. It's fine.
But it's a common thing that people seem to they just it's hard to get them to come out and support the shows and things like that. At the same time, where we're located in the country and in the world really is this area on the East Coast. You think about being in some place like I don't know, somewhere in the middle of the country where there's not a lot of cities around that are going to support things like that. If you go to New York City to Richmond, I mean, this whole stretch in between these cities, I mean, we can drive to Philadelphia, we can drive to Richmond, we can go up to New York, we can go even farther. So, can you support yourself in this area? I mean, and there's a lot of money around here between DC and there's a lot of people in DC that have a lot of events, and to get down there, it might take you an hour. So, can you work as a musician here? You really can. Where if you're in New Orleans or something, that's really it. That's where you are. You can't drive a couple hours to another city like we can to DC or Philadelphia. So there's some definite advantages to it. And of course, bringing COVID into the conversation, it just a remarkable effect on live performance. I mean, just you know, it shut everything down. I mean, I had so much booked in 2020. I can't even believe how many things I didn't do that I was expecting to do. And I mean, I released my first record as a leader in 2020, and man, I mean, I had a great response selling records on the web, but I never got to tour and support the music that way, which was a real drag. So, I mean, that conversation I could talk about that for a long time. But it's Baltimore. I love Baltimore, and I've I can't seem to find a reason to leave. I love it so much. Every time I think about leaving, it's something else happening here that I love, and I love the community. And I think that's the one other thing I'd like to say is the community of musicians in Baltimore I find to be one of the most inspiring, wonderful things, because we are, you go to other places like, I don't want to say a city to come down on a city, but some other places there's a little bit more, it seems like there's more backstabbing and more like ladder climbing in these other cities, where in Baltimore, you know, I'm friends with all the people I work with, and I'm real friends with them. I've been friends with some of these people for 20, 25 years. And, you know, I really value that music brings us together in Baltimore, and it's a very bonding thing. And I feel very fortunate that we are able to develop those relationships here.
I agree, man. I agree with you on that tip, man. Baltimore's got a unique like family brotherhood feel. I mean, I haven't seen Jeff probably in 20 years, but we could pick up like from the day we left off shooting hoops in his driveway. It's just
Totally.
it's that vibe, man. Baltimore's definitely got it. So much talented musicians here in every genre of music. And I love it. Like I genuinely love it. Like there's a substitute teacher here at the school in Greektown I work at, and this man's like a phenomenal acoustic guitarist. He just a lot of times, maybe it's about timing. I don't know. Maybe it's about confidence. But even like people that aren't on stage all the time, like we've got so much great talent, and I think LA can speak to that because he's spent time going around the city, doing interviews, meeting people. I'll tell you some of the best jazz music real quick. I'll comment LA and I'll cut you loose, man. Some of the best jazz music and specifically jazz, because I'm getting older. My palate has matured a little bit, and neo soul, R&B, jazz is just, it hits me where I'm at right now. And some of the best music I've heard is the Towers Down McCullough. And it wasn't at a concert. It's when some of the old cats that live there, especially during COVID, we couldn't do no concerts, couldn't do no music. So these guys would get together just to practice together and jam out. And it was some of the best music in Baltimore that I've ever heard in my life, in 43 years of my life. You know, so man, there's so much talent here. And it's just like, how do we support everybody? How do we, and I think COVID's going to help. Like you said, it's hard to get people to come out. People are fiending to come out, bro. Like they are fiending to come out and do anything. And the fact that when we do come out, we have artists like yourself, Jeff, and some really great talent that that LA's producing, that we shouldn't take it for granted. We do have awesome city, man. We got awesome community. You're on mute, LA. You're muted, LA.
And COVID kind of shut GLA down. It really just, we were out. March last year, it's not even open yet. And I don't even know if GLA is coming back the way it used to. Baltimore has a problem supporting its own because I think the DJ, the Baltimore DJs, everybody run to them and they kind of into that Baltimore DJ scene, and they lost the focus on what the live music is, the feel to be in the audience of a live musician, a live band. It's ridiculous. A DJ can't compare, but our younger people, they haven't had that experience. So we got to kind of like get our younger people to experience live music. And one thing that is happening is you got the guy Anderson .Paak. He's a young guy who's bringing the band back. He's a drummer. Him and Bruno Mars, the new song, they got to keep the door open. It's going to bring music back. The guy who did soul, what's his name? John Baptiste. He's got a new album out. So he's bringing music back. We got to get people back to music. In Baltimore, we used to have music in the school, so much so that a school was known for either singing or the band. Douglas was the band. I went to Walbrook. We were known for singing. Southern, that was another band type of school. But Baltimore doesn't have that school, or they haven't made it a part of the school curriculum. So they are losing a lot of our young people. They just getting stuck on the beat, making a trap beat, which is okay, but they need to, expand a little bit. Now, I met a couple of young guys. The group was called Deja Vu. 15, 16, 17, that's the oldest. 215, 116, 117. Bad, young cats. And I played something for them about a minute, and they started playing it, and then I dropped my beat out, my instrumental out. Man, they was killing it. So we got some young people out here in Baltimore that are hungry for music. What we have to do is try to make a way for them to bring their music out. One of the things that I'm involved with now, at least for the next year, in the VFW up in Rosedale, I don't know if you want to think about it, but there's a new partial owner. They kind of get split up. They got sold. The building's actually going to get torn down. But they have a place up there called the 911 Event Center. Holds about 400, 450 people. Big parking lot. We can start doing things there. We need to come together and start supporting live music. Have that live music. Just keep bringing it to the forefront. Bringing the musicians out, and supporting the musicians. Like my man said, they was making $100 25, 35 years ago. That's all they're making today is $100. That's ridiculous. We got to support our musicians. We got to make them feel like they're wanted, and make them feel like they're appreciated. So how do we do that? We have to come up with that plan. You talked about me doing some things in the community. That was Beat the Streets. I don't know how old some of you cats are, but back in the day, there was a thing called Operation Champ in Baltimore. Operation Champ was a community thing. And they used to go around in the community, and they would close a community down, bring in a truck with a stage, and they would have local bands and some out-of-state bands come in. They would have food and games for the community and services for the community. And they would do that for about 6 hours in a day. That was Operation Champ. So what I did, I do something called Beat the Streets. I have to change the name now, but Beat the Streets is a new version of Operation Champ. We're going to the toughest neighborhoods. We're not going into Willie Dillon. We're going down Pennsylvania Avenue. We're going down Montford. We're going over to Cherry Hill. We're going down to Monroe and Ramsey. We're going down in the hood, and we're going to minister to the people in the hood with the music, with the food, with the services, and that's like giving them a respite for about 6 hours. I usually do one a week, but last year, of course, we couldn't do any. So we had to bring that thing back. I don't know if we can do anything at 21, but 22 or 5 when it comes back. So there's a lot that we can do to introduce our young people back to the live music. One thing I'm telling you, they love when we came into the neighborhood, we beat the streets, all the kids were there. All the kids. They love the live music. So it's up to us to teach them, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and there's so much value in that, man. Let me tell you, like what I've missed mostly is I am a guys, if you're listening, you probably know I'm a chaplain in Baltimore City. But I don't frequent church every Sunday like people would expect just because of my position. But I will say that my church, where I would go to refill my hope tanks, was places like GLA Soundstage. The music, the love between the musicians, the brotherhood, the family, the family fellowship, man, that's what really refilled my hope tanks. And so you got a year of these places are shut down. Where do you go, right? Yeah. And what you're doing is like so valuable that people don't understand what they're missing. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not, people don't think to myself that your stomach growls, I'm hungry. You got physical needs, but there's that spiritual, emotional need that music definitely fuels. And I'll share a real good story, Jeff, to kind of comment on his spot and what you were saying about the brotherhood. There's a school officer named Jersey Sean, Officer Webb, and this guy's got a great voice. He's dude, I love this dude, man. He's over at the Orion Club, trying to get that up and going. He came one night to see Miss Kim at the JLA Soundstage. I just wanted to introduce him and see if she could do something, help him out and help him get going, because he was really talented. And so he flew back straight from Florida. He was doing a gospel tour in Miami. Shoots me a text from inside the club. I thought he was still in Florida. He said, "Hey, bro, where are you at?" And I was like, "Oh, man, he's being slick. He's across the bar." So I went over and Miss Kim wasn't there yet. And I said, so I go to Chuck at the front. I said, "Hey, let me know when Miss Kim's here. I got this guy, Jersey Sean, I'd like her to meet." So when she comes in, she tells the band on stage, and I wish I could remember who was playing that night. And so the band on stage, ain't nobody bothered to talk to Sean or nothing. They just said, "Hey, we heard somebody thinks they can sing up in here. Jersey Sean, get on up on stage." And where, like you said, where a lot of people can be competitive and a lot of people can be like abrasive and like, that's their stage, they're not willing to share it. These guys, they called him out, put him up on stage. The band backed him up. He sang a song for about 10, 15 minutes. But when I tell you, his personality, his character, he's so entertaining and he was so in the groove, man. He was jamming out so hard. The girl said, all right. After about 15 minutes, she's like, "Get off my stage." She said, I love you. And like, everybody loved it, man. But she's like, "All right, you got to go. We got a set to play, baby." It was awesome. It was like an awesome experience and an awesome experience for Sean to feel that love, because, he wasn't sure where he's going to get met by other musicians. Right.
Yeah.
But like you commented on, man, it was all love, so, yeah, I think we need more of that. We need more of that love. We need that Operation Champ. We need to collaborate and get the live music out there and really renew everybody's hope, man. Renew everybody's dignity. Renew everybody's love tank, bro. Because everybody's running on empty. We've been running on empty, and the COVID has kind of separated us in a way that I guess kind of like the way social media does, right? I have 12,000 friends. So on my mind's telling me, oh, I got all these friends, but my body and my spirit are telling me, where are they? I haven't seen them, right? Mm-hmm. It's like a lie. It's like you're telling yourself a lie. And so it's so important, man. And I'd love to, like, LA, whatever you got going on, whatever you need, let us know, man. Because we will show up. You need volunteers, you need musicians, you need food. Whatever you need, man, you let us know, and I'd love to be a part of that, man. It sounds awesome.
Well, I definitely want to get with you. We definitely want to start doing some more community type things, especially with the musicians, the kids, and the community people at large. They just love the fact that we come to the neighborhood. We come see about them. When we went to Cherry Hill, here's the story on Crook School. We went to Cherry Hill. Baltimore City was supposed to come out with the stage and block the streets off and all that type of stuff. They didn't come out, and the people in Cherry Hill was waiting for us. They were so hungry. They said, "Listen, we'll block the streets. You can play right here. We'll give you the lunch. we'll use our grills. You know what I mean? And so we played right on the street. Had a ball, man. I got some drone footage of that stuff. Man. It was, he had a ball, man, and that's how much the community needs us to be a part of it. You know that they was willing to sacrifice and give up their own, and we were well protected, man. We wasn't concerned about anything. So God is good. If we do what we're supposed to do, we're going to enlighten people, and the people will come. You bring the love, the people are drawn to the love. Understand me? That's what they're drawn to.
I agree, man. I think a lot of times talented, very talented people, sometimes not really sure what they could do to serve the community, right? Like, there's a unique group called Hack Baltimore, who's a bunch of like people with tech skills, IT skills, and when maybe 2 years ago they came out and they were like, how can we serve the community with our set of skills? And since then they've developed this whole program, Hack Baltimore. They reach out to other organizations, communities, and they're able to apply their certain specific set of skills to serve the community. And so as musicians, man, what a great calling. You could just go out and play. Just join LA, or find a spot where the music's needed, and just go play,
Where the love is needed. Look, we went to places the police were scared to go. They was like, you can't go down there. That's no, we going down.
Right.
Police was like, it's dangerous down there. I know, yep. I come from down there. That's why we're going down.
Yep. Brother, they tell me that all the time, and it's you know what? Like, I'm going down there in love, so you don't need to come with me, because you might make it worse.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
He
might make it worse.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Reed, I had a question for you, man. I see you back there soaking it in. Wheels are turning. You got any gigs coming up that we can come check you out?
Oh, that's a great question. I got to pull my calendar up. I do.
Right.
Things have changed quite a bit. I've started getting called for a lot more stuff. Some of the things that I probably could have mentioned that I had booked have actually recently passed. There's a place that I work at a lot, or have worked at a lot, called Andy Musique on Charles Street.
Andy Music, I have it.
Yeah. A lot of virtual stuff.
Yeah, Andy is great. That's one of my home away from homes that I spend time at, and I work with Henry Wong a lot over there, and Doc Manning, and both of them are great friends. And I put out an album in 2020, like I said. I was able to do a CD release party that was virtual back in 2020, but Henry had me back just about a month ago to play a CD release there, and that was a real pleasure to do that. That would have been a great one to talk about. But as far as things that I have coming up now, I mean, I have a steady Tuesday night that I've been playing at a place called the Monarch, and that's in Harbor East. If you've seen the Elk Room or Tagliata as you're driving down Alisana Street, it's back behind all that. I've been working there.
Don't give away the Elk Room, man.
What's that?
Don't give away the Elk Room. That's a well-kept secret.
Oh, man, I know. And, man, that place has some amazing drinks, and the food is great, too.
Sure.
Love the Elk Room. But the Monarch is great, and it's a nice Tuesday night gig I've been doing with a guy named Gabe Wallace, and it's a quartet, sort of some early jazz kind of sounding stuff, and a little bit of French influence. So I've been doing that, and I've been doing some gigs down at Fells Point and things like that, and I have something coming up next week where I'm performing with a quintet for some veterans that are at this VA hospital on Loch Raven Boulevard, and that's with a trumpet player named Nick Ryder, who's been putting that together. It's something that's been operating on a grant. So that's been great too. But as things are starting to evolve and happen, I've been doing a lot of wedding gigs, and like I say, some bar gigs are coming up. So it's opening up again for me,
So the album you mentioned, that's the Look for the Light album, right? Is that the one you're talking about for 2020?
Yeah. So that's what I named my first album. It's called Look for the Light, and sort of inspired by, I have two kids, and it was inspired by the birth of my son, my first child, and sort of it's interesting. I put it out right before this pandemic hit, because my whole inspiration for the album was sort of just the message being that every moment we have is fleeting, and you're not going to have it very long. And you can't realize that more than how you realize that when you see your children grow up. 10 years can pass in my life from age 30 to 40 or age 40 to 50. But when you see 10 years pass from a baby to a 10-year-old child, it's a lot easier to realize like, wow, a lot has happened in this time. And I've you can't get those moments back, so it's a look for the light is sort of a message being, take a moment and look for the positive thing that you're in the midst of right now. And man, was that a message I needed in 2020. Whew. It was having lost all of, it basically sends every musician into an identity crisis because you lose all your chance to do the thing that you've lived your whole life to do. But you know, I was able to take some good things out of that year too. I spent a lot more time with my family uh, and all that kind of stuff too. Anyway, but the album is out. It's available on my website, which is right there, jeffreedbass.com. You can order the album, or you can actually purchase like a digital download right on the website, and a couple different payment options, and you can get that album today.
So besides, do you still connected with Bertha's? Because I know you had a long running gig at Bertha's on Thursday nights, I think.
Yeah. So speaking about, like we say, this brotherhood of musicians and the community of Baltimore coming together for events. I had a steady Thursday night gig that I played for, I think it was probably 15 years I did that gig. And I had played there years before that too, as a subbing for other people. But yeah, every Thursday I played there, and right up to the pandemic. And it was a wonderful place to, it's a gig that we did in the evening. So a lot of musicians would come after their gigs were over if they had an earlier gig. And by the end of the night, we might have, musicians just shoulder to shoulder packed into this place just listening, and that attracted all kinds of other people the to the spot who were, into this wonderful vibe. And we would all hang out after the gig, and it was a great place. I mean, Bertha's is one of my favorite places. Andy Norris is a good friend, and he runs Bertha's, and I can't say enough great things about the fact that they gave us a spot to do that, and man, just a wonderful time. So I'm missing it. And as a matter of fact, since you bring Bertha's up, that is something I didn't look far enough in my calendar forward. I'm gonna be there on the 5th of July. No, the 5th of August. Am I going to be there in July? Doesn't look like it. Actually, I'll be there on the 15th of July with a great drummer, good friend named Mike Cool. But I'll also be there on July 1st. That's what it is. Thursday, July 1st is my next date there. So that's a great one to come out to. And a lot of musicians come out. It's a great hang. There's a lot of people sitting in. Great trumpet player Sean Jones, who's the head of the Peabody Jazz Department, was there last time I played, and he's a fantastic musician. A lot of great players came out. It was really a good time.
The producer, he runs a Keystone Corner now, Todd. Forget his last name, but he also speaks very highly of you. Me and the wife went there as soon as they opened up. I think we've been 3 or 4 times because it was one of the first places to really open up. And man, I was trying to name drop a little bit and be like, oh, Jeff Reed, and man, that guy has the utmost respect for you. And that's a guy who's like been in the industry a while. He's produced some albums. He's run, some pretty elite clubs and everything. So just to add to your credibility, man,
thank you.
He just highly respects you, man. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Yeah. Todd Barkin. Todd Barkin's the man.
That's the man.
He came and brought a jazz club to Baltimore, and he brings amazing musicians down all the time. He just had the Cookers there, which is just like a stacked band of just amazing players. So yeah, Todd Barkin is great and a good friend too.
So real quick, I don't know if you saw in the comments, somebody asked, what do you think of cryptocurrency and the publishing of music these days?
Yeah,
so
I have to be.
I'm not sure what that's about, so explain it to us.
Well, I wish I could. I'm way uneducated on it. I've read a couple brief articles and enough to say I don't understand this, but I need to figure this out because it's definitely. I mean, everybody is talking about cryptocurrency and yeah,
somebody's making money on it.
Yeah,
I tell you what, the farm store's got ATM machines, and then right next to it, they've got a Bitcoin machine. What's going on? Yeah, dude.
Wow.
Yeah, you gotta slum it and go to the farm store, man. Come on now.
Man, yeah, alternative financing. I'm super uneducated on it, and I need to spend some time researching that. So yeah, if any of you guys know about it, I'd like to hear anything that you have to say about it.
So
Well, I'm actually invested in some cryptocurrency, but I think what this question was talking about specifically was not things like Bitcoin or Dogecoin or Ethereum Classic, which are common cryptocurrencies. I think it was talking about like NFTs, which are a type of cryptocurrency where people collect unique things like unique pictures online, and it basically bars anyone from making a copy of that picture or that music, that song, that little snippet of beats or whatever, and it bars anyone from making a copy of that, and that will make that the only picture or piece of music in the entire world, which makes it incredibly valuable to some people.
Right. Yeah, that's what I remember. I read about that, and I did understand like that was the basic idea of it. But man,
So say that again. I'm running by me a little bit slower. Say that again, please.
So the type of cryptocurrency that I am invested in is like Bitcoin. I'm pretty sure you heard of that. Or Dogecoin, which is another type of Bitcoin. But what I think the question was asking about music was a thing called NFT, a non-fungible token, which is basically some unique picture that was posted online or some unique piece of music that was posted online that has a bar against anyone copying it. So you can't make a copy of this. There's a physical app, or there's a few apps that sell NFTs that bars people from making copies of whatever piece of music or beat or picture you have. And to some people, that unique piece of whatever is valuable, basically.
yeah,
So
I never understood how the money.
people place their own value in these things. Is that what you're telling me?
To a certain degree, I guess. So say for example, I found or I buy an NFT, right? Well, I buy it for $5, right? And I guess you put it online and you let people look at it and stuff like that, and it increases in value the more people that want it. It could be literally anything. It could be a cat wearing a baseball cap, right?
Wow.
Or a beat with a 2-second beat. But if people invest in it and it's unique, other people want to buy it, which increases the value.
Okay, I gotta find out more about that.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I haven't understood the how you make money with it yet, but yeah, that's about as far as I got. But you articulated it much better than I could. I wouldn't have been able to say
so
it.
so Dason, guys, if you Dason hopped on a couple minutes late here, but this is one of the guys, one of the young guys who's out in the community with us, nonstop. He mentors young men. He serves the community. He organizes. He advocates. He activates. He does it all, man. You're going to be you're finish your sophomore year at Coppin, correct?
Yeah, I'm moving into my junior year.
Yeah, so he's a Coppin State HBCU. So earlier, LA was commenting on how his perception of young people's perception of music. So I wanted to ask you, one of our resident heroes for sure. Have you ever been to a live concert?
I have not been to a live concert. I want to go to a live concert, but I have not actually been to one.
So that's I think it's unique to your generation, really, because everything's like, when me and Jeff
At the
were
touch of
kids,
a
man. Like,
button, we can get it on our phone.
yeah, that's the thing, man. Like, we used to go to Merriweather. We go to 930 Club in DC. We go to the what was the spot on Cross Street? There's a little spot we'd go anywhere the music was, and we just anywhere live music was, whether it was a Towson Town Festival or even a Greek festival or Polish festival.
East Belgium, New York on Friday afternoon.
Yeah,
Down the harbor sometime on Friday afternoon. There were a
and
lot
the
of
culture,
down the
the
harbor.
culture,
Yeah, they really had the music right there in front of the Light Street, So
yep, in
it,
front of the waterfall, Light Street and Pratt Street. Yep,
Light Street pressures, yeah.
yep.
But I think that the problem is, first of all, they kind of priced the live ticket so far out
That's true.
there.
That
like a
is true.
monthly ticket for $1,000. Somebody's ticket is $1,500. Somebody's ticket is $500. Not many people is going to say, I'm going to spend $500 for one ticket to see these people.
I,
They
I
kind
think
of,
I spent I think I
but,
spent $80 to see Cam before he was famous, man.
but what we can do in the community is we can start bringing a live music to the community where our young people can see and experience that live sound. There's nothing like it, my brother. If you've never been to a live concert, a band playing this young man, or one of his concerts, or one night when they jamming together. And the best thing you ever want to go to is a jam session.
Yes, sir.
All the musicians are together and they jamming, man, you would love it. I'm telling you.
That's the magic right there. Yep. So I
I
think it's
got a little
interesting.
one there.
Yeah, it's really the culture, man. Like one of my favorite things about Baltimore, again, in that spirit of that Baltimore love, that be more love, that people, if you're not from here, you don't really understand. Like summertime, 90s, 2000s, you could be cruising down, you could be cruising down Wolf Street or Orleans Street or wherever in the city, and you rocking out to like 95.9, right? You listen to some R&B jams and stuff, and the person sitting next to you at the stop sign, they're kind of beating their head to your beat, and you look, roll down the window and they're jamming out to the same song, man. It was just that unity, right? Like y'all just feeling that same vibe that's being put out there by DJs. And now everybody's got their earbuds in or they got their Bluetooth connected. So it's kind of like, it's almost divisive, right? Where, Ryan the Lion and Kenny K at 12 o'clock every day, they're putting out the fixed mix. And that's one of my favorite things to listen to sometimes if I'm not listening to Mr. Robert Shaheed. But everybody's putting out these vibes on the radio. And it's really like, it really changes the culture of the community because, you sharing that love out on the radio and people are listening and feeling it, and less people are tuning in now because of all the internet stuff. So I think that,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, everybody's
There's even
listening to
there's even like virtual concerts that happens a lot. I know because my brother watches. I think his name is like Marshmallow or something. He wears this big white thing over his head, and he's supposed to have worked with like Beyonce and all of these different people. But he does a lot of like virtual concerts, which I guess could be one reason why people my age and younger don't actually go to live concerts. We have everything at the touch of a button now.
Yeah, but you lose the feel. You lose the feel of being. Okay, and feeling. I ain't talking about hearing the bass. I'm talking about feeling the bass. I ain't talking about hearing the drums. I'm talking about feeling the drums, feeling the guitar, feeling the sax player, feeling that keyboard is playing. That if you're not in the space, you really can't get that experience, man. That's what separates um, live music from everything else. Is you just gotta be in the house. As my man said, you gotta come out there and just be a part of who's there. Because that vibe, as Chap said, goes throughout everybody. And it's just love and peace and music is flowing. It's like love.
and there's a unity in that moment, man. If you've never been to I think as kids we all went to the Meyerhoff, right? And we all like every year because we're from Baltimore and we have unique what are the field trips that we go on. Like everybody from Baltimore has been to DC at least 5 times if you grew up in the schools, right? Well, we used to. I don't know if you guys do anymore. And we all went to the Meyerhoff and to see hundreds of musicians in tune, in unity, playing the same song, man. It's just there's something so unique and tangibly, I won't say magic, man, but it's so tangible you can feel it. It's just you can listen to it on the internet and it's like sound waves, right? But it's more than sound waves when you're listening to it live. And it's so hard to capture that. I got albums I watched that are like, Pink Floyd live, The Wall or Division Bell or different all kinds of different, like I got Luther live, I got Stevie Wonder live. To watch it live is exciting. But to be in the moment while it's happening is just like Jeff was saying, in that moment, knowing that it's not going to last, it's just you're in it, and it's really hard to articulate unless you've experienced it, And so, man, again, I want to go back to your project, LA. Like, let's get live music out to our kids and get them excited. I'm almost sad we don't have my one friend, Dr. Holly Hood Mincy. She has a group called the Singing Sensations Youth Choir, and she's a veteran music. She was a veteran music teacher until, like you commented, LA, music isn't in the schools anymore, right? And so where I was a kid, we played every instrument from the recorder to the trumpet to the guitar to you had your hands on everything. You know, whether you're good at it or not, they made you put your hands on everything. And, you know, if you were good at it, if you had the stuff, then you hung on to it and your parents made you practice and do all this other stuff. But kids aren't even given that opportunity anymore.
Yeah,
And so people have to start, you know, outside of school programs and try to get a 501c and start a music program and all this other stuff. And it's like, I'm not seeing the same results. That's all.
well, I mean, the schools are into the test. All they're trying to do is get the kids to pass the test. That's all they care about is the test.
And
They
they're not
don't
even
really
doing
care about
what's
the
in.
education, you know, and the fullness of education. You know, the shop, the gym, the music, the arts. They don't care about that. Pass the test. That's all they care about. And I think we lose a lot. Now, as you said, Chap, we got a lot of things. You know, we got everything you can name, but we're divisive. You could be in a car and everybody got on their earbuds or their earphones, whatever. Everybody's listening to something different. Everybody's driving something different. Before, when you was in the car, everybody was driving on the same beat, you know, that same instrumental. But now everybody's so divisive. You're texting somebody that's sitting next to you. It's like instead of having a conversation, it's crazy.
Right. Right. Well, we gotta get back to our roots and encourage young people to do. I know all the young people I know, and Dason will tell you, man, I try to encourage them to, even if you don't understand why some of the old school things that we do, you may not understand why they have value, but they do. And you talk about old things like when girls used to do the cotillion balls, right? And they learn how to do etiquette, and they learn how to walk and talk and address and all these things that aren't culturally really appropriate anymore because girls may not choose. You know, there's the
Walk
gender thing.
around in Timberlands now.
Sure, right. So things like that that used to have value, they're still valuable. We've forgotten why. One of the really great. So I'll give you a little story. It maybe doesn't tie in, but so I'm from Baltimore, right? People always joke we always walking in the street when the sidewalk's clear. Like, why are you walking in the street? Why are you walking in the street? You know? And I'll share with you the reason we walk in the street as it was taught to me from one of the old heads. So back before when we were when Black people were fighting for their human rights in the early 20th century, white people who did not agree with giving human rights to Black people, they would take people in the alley and do terribly violent things to them if they allowed them to live. And so our people learned to, if you walk a little bit off the curb in the street a little bit, right, you would learn that you're more visible. It gives you more time to respond. It gives other people more time to see what's happening to you, right? And this is early 1900s. And so parents taught their kids, you walk in the street like that. And that's why now you fast forward generation after generation, you do it because your parents did it. I do it because my peoples did it. And we don't even know why we do it anymore, but it had value at one point, right?
Yeah, I can see that.
So apply that concept to music. Like the live music has so much value that we're missing because of it's more convenient, or we don't understand why we have to go to a live concert where we can just pay $5 on Eventbrite and get the same experience. Well, because it's not the same experience.
That's for sure. Yeah, there's a great guitar player I used to work with named Paul Wingo. And Paul would always have the greatest things he would say. And one of the things he said one day to me was that the listener creates the music. And I never knew what that meant until 2020. Because then all of a sudden I started playing these gigs with people virtually. We would be playing live streaming concerts where there'd be no one there, and we would just play to no one to the camera, and then people could watch it over the web. I remember at one point the drummer did something and he reacted and he played something, and it just was a flash thought that came out of I don't even know where it came from. I just heard it in my head. And the thought was, oh, he's simulating what it would be like if there were people here. And it just occurred to me that that's what we're doing all the time as musicians is we're playing, but the people's reaction, the people's energy is dictating what's going to happen next in the music.
Wow.
And when people get all riled up and people get excited and start shouting and hollering, you know, that that changes the music. That makes the music something that it wasn't before. And when you don't have that, oh man, it's like a huge drag. And I really never experienced it until 2020 where I played so many gigs where there were no people in the room. So
Man,
that's like I actually got a little emotional the first time I played for people again. I did a sidewalk series where I was playing the Creative Alliance. I put this thing on, and you would go to people would pay for a 20-minute concert. You'd go and you'd play. And I remember the first time I played a note, and these people were listening, and I thought, this is magical, man. And I took it for granted. All these years, I took this for granted, and here it is.
and look, you took me right back to 2001 concert I went to with that thought. We went and seen Afro Man. If you guys, I don't remember if you guys remember the song. It was real popular. I was going to go to school, but then I got high. Right. So Afro Man, before he was famous or before he really took off with his one hit wonder, he did a gig in it was somewhere in the Adirondack. It was Albany, New York. This tiny little crappy bar. Nobody was there. It was a real small crowd. So like, we were maybe 20 feet from him in the band, and they were jamming out and stuff, right? And in the middle of the concert, like you said, he did a little Eric Clapton riff, and then went back to his song. And if Jeff can tell you, like I grew up, my dad bought me a guitar, and Eric Clapton unplugged and said, "Figure it out." So I'm a big Eric Clapton fan, right? So when he did that, I was 20 feet away from him. I'm like, "No, you didn't." And he looked at me. He said, "What'd you say?" In the middle of the concert, I said, "No, you didn't. You ain't do no Eric Clapton riff." So this dude goes off and does like a 15-minute solo, or like starts playing Layla, and just does this like 15-minute like Clapton-esque guitar solo on his 3 pickup Fender. And I'm like, man, that sounds fantastic. But it's because, like you just said, the interaction between the musician and the audience, man. And he blew my mind, man. We hung out afterwards. We shot pool. His boys sat at the bar, and we broke bread together and stuff. But it was a moment I actually forgot about. So you mentioned that. So you mentioned that beauty of like the give and take between the audience and the musicians.
Yep.
When you're at a concert, like I said, like a GLA soundstage, when they have cats come in, and it's a real laid back vibe, and they're doing some neo soul and some covers and stuff. And the guy asked something. It wasn't their genre of music, but the guy asked about a cover, and somebody said Jimi Hendrix, and I'm like, man, I ain't come here to hear Jimi Hendrix, but it was so funky, bro. They threw it in there, and it was amazing. And so I got mine, and I'm like, I'm gonna get some John Legend, and they started just throwing that out there and just having a blast, bro. It was just like LA said, it was that jam. The concert turned into a jam session for the audience,
Right.
and it was fantastic. So
yeah, there's nothing quite like it, where it's like it's like a yin and yang of the whole experience. You have to have the other part there. The people can be there, but if there's no band, it doesn't happen. But it's vice versa, just the same the other way around.
So I know, Jeff, you're a real humble dude, but real quick, knowing the places you've been, who you've played with, I'm gonna ask you to brag a little bit. Like, where are the most exotic places you have played music professionally, and maybe who are some of the more famous people that you've been on stage with supporting?
Well, yeah. Thank you for asking. That's nice of you. Yeah, I mean, I think my favorite place that I've performed is probably Egypt, Cairo, Egypt. I've been I can't say how lucky I am that I've seen the pyramids in Cairo, the pyramids of Giza, 3 times. And one time was actually with a great bass clarinetist named Todd Marcus, and Greg Tardy, and Elio Villafranca, Eric Kennedy. It was a really wonderful trip. We played the Cairo Jazz Festival and multiple locations throughout there, and that was a memory I'll never forget. It was a fantastic.
So you actually seen the pyramids 3 times?
A boy from Baltimore has seen the pyramids, bro. That's what I'm talking about. We need that narrative, no matter what color, no matter what neighborhood you're from. We need people from Baltimore to understand, like, you can do it, man. We got a mentality.
The image alone is like,
Yeah.
I want to go see. I need to go to Cairo just to see the pyramids. You know what I'm saying?
It's amazing. it's breathtaking. I mean, there's nothing quite like it, and yeah, I could just stare at them for hours. They're
And that's,
incredible.
I'm sure that's something that's like life changing, right? Because you feel so probably so small, and Baltimore doesn't feel so big when you're in Egypt looking at the pyramids.
Yeah.
A lot of us looking around like getting beat down by the city, man, getting beat down by the hood, and we're like, man, but if you can get away and take a deep breath and get away and have that experience, like we need more of our young men to experience that because it'll bring success, it'll change your perspective and change your path for sure.
Chap, you just made me think of something. We could do some kind of musical, um, like mentorship type thing, where we can like get go around and get some kids who have some music inclinations, right? Bring them into a setting, teach them some things, and then take them to some concerts at different places. Take them up to Harlem, let them see their power. Take them to Philly. Take them down, like you said, to Richmond. Take them different places, and maybe ultimately do a really nice trip if we can, gather enough funds and take them to Egypt, to the Cairo music festival. That'd be crazy for them.
That would be insane. Let me share with you. We definitely need to do that. So like right here, right now, I'm locking you guys in. We need to start thinking and start the conversation because we need to do that. But also want to share two organizations that actually do that in Baltimore. This, like I mentioned, Dr. Hood Mincy with the Singing Sensations. She takes kids out of country. I think the one year we tried to help sponsor a young lady who was going to, like, they were singing in Brazil or Argentina, somewhere absurd for me to think about, but the choir was going there to sing. And I'm talking about like probably 100 kids or so. I'm not sure how many, but you got a huge choir. She took them all from Baltimore out of the country, bro. And there's another group called right here in Northeast, the Maryland State Boys Choir, which I used to sing in. And as a young man, they offered me the opportunity. I sang in the pit with the BSO at Meyerhoff. I've sang at the Lyric. I sang national anthem at Memorial Stadium before they tore it down. And I'm not a professional singer. I'm just a dude from Northeast, but they offered me that opportunity as a young man, which changed my narrative, changed my perspective. So Maryland State Boys Choir, Singing Sensation, Youth Choir, there are people out there doing it. We can't have enough of it. We need to definitely encourage our kids to embrace the arts. And you don't have to be the best at it. And I'll give you two examples. You guys are going to laugh. LA and Jeff are going to laugh. Two of the most successful singers that can't sing a lick, not tone deaf, just horrible. All right. Stay with me on this. Bob Dylan and Tom Petty.
Really?
Tell me they can sing, bro. Tell me they can hit a note and keep a tune. They cannot, but they're very successful. So I think that's also an important narrative. If our kids are passionate about something, you don't have to necessarily be the best.
Yeah,
Brett
I mean,
Favre,
Joe Cocker's another person.
Brett Favre's first pass in the NFL was to himself because he almost got intercepted. Somebody blocked it and he caught it, right?
Right.
I think he was like 50% interceptions, but a very successful quarterback. So I think it's also an important narrative is to share with our young people as we encourage them in music and stuff, like don't give up because you don't get it right away. Because especially, I think Desan can speak to this, is that there's a certain level of expectation of instant gratification. Like if you try something you're not good at it, put it down, try the next thing, because there's so many options, right? There's so many options these days for these guys. But, if we get them to pick up an instrument and just stick with it, there's value in that. And
So
I don't think.
good question. You're over at Coppin State University, North Avenue, basically right up from Sandtown, right up from, Penn North. You're in the hood, straight up. So what is Coppin doing over there? Are they embracing stuff over there? Are they getting the students involved in community stuff, or how are they operating as far as community is concerned?
So as far as the community is concerned, so first, I entered college my freshman year and I completed my first semester. During my second semester, COVID hit. So of course, me and everybody else was displaced. We had to go to our computers in order to do our in order to do our schoolwork. So I only spent one semester actually on campus. But there are fraternities and sororities. There are organizations on the campus that tries to engage in community stuff. Of course, because of COVID, they haven't been too successful in the period that I've been at Coppin State University. However, there are people there that are attempting to do that type of stuff.
Okay.
Cool. Well, I don't know. I want to think. You got my wheels turning now in the background as I'm listening. I'm thinking like who we can connect to. Even if the kids, man, just getting the kids out to the Cairo Jazz Festival. Like, how do we get there? What are the steps to get there? Because we can do it, bro, and that would be amazing.
I'll tell you something that happened. Kid in a Chinese food joint. Kid runs in, some other kids running behind. They fight, going down. The kid said, "Brother, I just want to live." It struck me, man. The kid, he had his hands up in the air. He said, "No, I just want to live." That's a tool, brother. I just want to live. And we just start off with that, man, and just take that, brother. I just want to live too. And just grab some people along the way and just do it, because it's kids out there, they in the hood every day, that's all they see, that's all they know. Their eyes are closed to the rest of the universe. I ain't talking about the city, they're closed to the rest of the universe. We need to open their eyes up and let them know that there's more out there. They won't be so apt to kill themselves or kill each other. But we gotta reach out. We gotta find a way to do it. That's what's important. Of course there are no rec centers. Okay, so how do we do that? How do we try to engage some of these young guys in the corner? They had skills, very intelligent, but they got caught up in the system. They got caught up in trying to make money, and they think that's the only way to go. But they really know it's not. So how do we reach them? You know what I mean? That's the job. So, brother, I just want to live. That's a powerful statement.
Big facts. I think that's the note to end on, man. We're hitting our hour mark, bro. Okay. Bro, I just want to live, and you know what? I appreciate LA, what you're doing with the Baltimore Legends documentary. I can't wait for it to come out. I don't know. Real quick, I want to ask you: Are you still doing? You still packing in more content, or are you?
I'm doing some content. I ran into some other people. I'm doing some different changes. I want to make it more interactive with the city. I had a lot of people who were sitting down having a conversation, so it looked more like an interview type of session. I don't really want it to look like that. So I'm in the midst of doing some minor changes in how it's being produced. But yeah, and also, I got the Battle of the Bands thing that was I'm supposed to be leading. So the Battle of the Bands, he already doing. Jeff, you know what the Battle of the Bands is about. But this is the Battle of the Bands, Legends versus Youngers.
Yes.
So the Legends in the video, right? They'll get together and they'll play against the youngers, some young people like the 17, 18-year-olds that I saw. And we'll have to figure out the age, who could be a legend, who could be a youngin. Then there's going to be that middle ground where you can't be part of it. But
I just want to comment. Some of these young brothers will surprise you, man. There's a young singer from Texas, dude. What is his name? Leon. Oh, gosh, I wish I could tell you his name. It's on the tip of my tongue. But there's some young brothers where they come out with some old school stuff and they whoop it on, and you're like, what you know about that? Like, where did that come from? So don't underestimate them. They got the stuff, bro.
So listen, I told Rodney Skeets Curtis is one of the baddest bass players in the world. I told Skeets, I said, we're gonna do Battle of the Band, we're gonna do Legends versus Young. He said, where they at? Bring them on.
Don't underestimate them, baby.
So it's gonna be fun. I think that would help break the ice with the young people. See some young people and bring them together. That'd be like a mentorship type of thing. I ain't gonna hold you up. I know we gotta break camps.
No, those will build some good relationships, man. So look, we got to get you back on when you got more information on that, and get some people plugged in. Because Baltimore is about relationships.
Yeah.
It's all love. I don't always like you. Look, Jeff, sometimes we was hooping. I ain't always like you, but I always love you, man. You know, that's it. That's Baltimore, man. It's all love. You know, you hate me. Oh well, I love you. You know, so I appreciate you guys being on the show today, man. Jeff at Bertha's. You said July 1st in the least. So if you want to find out about his other concerts, go see him on July 1st and find out what else is going on. LA, look for Baltimore Legends documentary. It's going to be glorious, and we're going to have him back on to give some more information on Battle of the Bands. And hopefully, one of these nights, I'll tell you that he's told me that GLA Soundstage is open, and we'll get that place hopping as well.
Well, we'll see.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
All right, man.
Ciao.
All right.